Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live as always in downtown Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. A 3-hour banger lined up for you today. Plenty on what took place last night. Spin it forward to tonight. 6 games overall in the NBA and the NHL playoffs. A lot of day games, a lot of night games. Huge card today in Major League Baseball. Great guest on the program today, Jeff Seeley. He's going to handicap and give out best bets on the Cadillac Championship this week on the PGA Tour. You cannot be serious. Mike Palman, he is going to tell you about something that you need to milk the cash cow until it runs dry basically in July. Find out what that is. And Kentucky Derby betting with Mike Somich. Can he hit the super yet again this year, Paulie? It was great that he did it and called it a year ago and was live on the air when that took place. Amazing how the stuff that we talked about yesterday with the Celtics came in yet again last night, and how they can be they're so fun to watch like 75% of the time. And then you get a dud like that last night. And it's all correlated to how the 3-point shot is going to be going for the team. And the stat that we talked about a lot yesterday is now 10-22 ATS since 2020, 0-10-1 last 11 games. And that's Boston after a game in which they won by 10 points in the playoffs. Remarkable.
Yeah, I can't stand this team. And it just goes back to the frustration level and why can't you lock in, focus, and bring it every night. They're the guy who wins the lottery and is like, you know what, I'm not quitting my job. I like it. I like the people I work with.
This is fun.
It's like, why don't you want the time off? Why don't you want to rest? Why don't you want to close a series out? Why are you so bad at home? Why does this keep happening? Last 3 years in the playoffs, 17-7 on the road, 19-12 at home. When they shoot under 30% from three, 1-7 at home. 13 home playoff losses since 2022 as a favorite of more than 7.5. 8 by double digits. Again, laying double digits in a closeout, and they lose. They missed their last 14 shots. They were up 13 in the third quarter. They only scored 11 bleeping points in the fourth quarter, and they lose again, and now you give the Sixers life. But also what we said, game 2, sweep them, get it over with, because Embiid might return. That's another reason why the game 2 loss was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also time to go revisit what David Thorpe said to us years ago, and when we were at Foxwoods when we met Kendrick Perkins. You sure they shouldn't have traded one of these guys? 9 years of this, 1 title. 9 years, 1 title. 2 trips to the finals. I would say that's a disaster on how much talent they have and what they've done in the regular season. And Bob Ryan was right, too, before, when we talked to him in like December, in January, about how fun this team is and how easy they are to root for. But I don't have a dog in the fight, but I just can't stand what this team does. And they continue to play with their food and mess around.
We had Julian Edlow on the show yesterday from DraftKings. He lives in Boston. This is his favorite team. He has a great pulse on them. And he ran down how many times they've lost in that spot. And you're exactly right to point out it's been 13 home losses. And as he said on Twitter, more than half the NBA hasn't even hosted or maybe even played in 13 playoff games since 2022. And that's how many times they have lost.
Look at that.
In that span at home as big favorites. It's every year. It doesn't make any sense. It also talks to about how volatile the 3-point shooting is and what that does. Yeah. And you said yesterday, because when they're going in, they can beat anybody.
Yeah.
And based on that, you made the comment that you think they could beat Oklahoma City. I disagree. I don't think they can. I think Oklahoma City would make life too difficult on them. But that again speaks to when their A game is like the shots are going in, they're not going to lose to anybody in the East. But when they're not going in, the adjustments are not going to be there because they're just going to keep shooting, assuming that the shots will eventually drop.
Yeah. Game 1, outscored Philly by 36 from 3. Game 2, outscored by 18. Game 3, plus 24. Game 4, plus 45. Last night, minus 12 and lost by 16. And Embiid went off too. He was fantastic. So was Grimes. But it just no sense of urgency, no killer instinct. Lack of focus at home. And I saw the tweets when okay, they'll probably win on the road. Not the point. Not the point. Quit screwing around. Mm-hmm. Someone can get hurt. You want to shorten the series, and you give a team life, and you keep doing this. And it's another thing where Doug Kazarian texted us. $1.05 seems like a gift. How do they not win the East? We'll play humans here in a second. But it's just, they look good and they look so bad. But like Barkley said after the game, they're also the easiest team to game plan for. They're going to do the same thing every single game. And this continues to rear its ugly head. Derek White is terrible right now.
Oh, he's playing awful basketball.
Yeah, he's 7 of 30.
I like the guy, too.
I know. He's 7 of 33 in the series. He was 32% on the season, and he's shooting 21% from 3 in the series and 29% overall in the series.
Right. I heard JVT breaking this down in terms of like how many times are they taking forced threes compared to how many times they're open or uncontested. They're a top 10 team at getting open or uncontested threes in the entire league. So the thought of the shot not going in some of these games, people are just going to say, well, you're getting the open look. You got to keep taking them. That's going to be like totally the analytics guy coming in and numbers guy. My comeback on that is, as a like lifelong lover of basketball, how about it's not your night shooting and you maybe do something else offensively, and maybe you have 7 guys on the team that can like drive to the rack and get to the free throw line. Like that's an option.
I know. I'm with you, but they don't do that.
No, they don't. No,
but that's kind of like Joker though too. I ignore that I'm 1 of 8 from 3. The next one's going to go in.
Yep. Water's
going to find its level. I'm going to make the next one. I'm going to make the next one. But if I'm Tatum and Brown, I attack the rack. I know. But it's one thing if you lose, but you're up 13 points in the third quarter. Close them out.
How about this? So the Sixers trailed by 1 going into the fourth.
Yeah.
They won by 16. That's the largest road playoff win in NBA history by a team that trailed entering the fourth quarter. Again, leave it to this this iteration of the Celtics to set that all-time record. If they were, I thought about this last night, because of what you said in all the threes, either they're going in or they're not. If they were a song, the Boston Celtics would be Symphony of Destruction. Because it's happening one way or the other. They're going to blow you out by the 3, or they're going to embarrass themselves by not making the 3. It's coming in every single game.
Yeah, you can also let a team back in the game if you continue to shoot them and you struggle, like what happened last year when they blew 2 20-point leads to the Knicks. Yeah. And Edlow did a great job with this. He also said, I'm not even including 3 losses to Milwaukee and Miami. They were laying 5 or fewer in that game, too. Just so there's more. 10, 13, 10, 8, 13, 14, 10. 10, 13, 8.5.
Right.
How do you lose these games?
Yeah.
Year in, year out, every single series.
Yeah, you should not. You need to take, you're the much better team. You're the superior team. And it just happens over and over and over again. And you're right. I mean, what you said, it doesn't matter because you cannot flop like this that many times. Again, when you go back and look, they embarrassed themselves in that 1-8 matchup against Miami. Lost in the playoffs. They
enormous favorite.
Oh, yeah. They were the better team than Golden State.
Yep.
Got taken apart in 6 games there. And they have 1 title. And by the way, I would say this. They just so happened to get a Dallas Mavericks team that played out of their minds in the Western Conference. Like Denver had their number that year. They were the defending champs. And it was not a good matchup for Boston. Yeah. Oklahoma City was the 1 seed. I can tell you, like, if they drew one of those 2 teams, there's a good chance they don't have a title. They don't have a championship at this point. And then what are we talking about? Missoula might not have a gig at the end of this year. Who knows? But here's the deal. Based on how they respond now to a loss, they will probably win and cover Game 6 on the road. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Now, Embiid, the Opta AI stats on VSiN.com, they projected him for 19. He went nuts last night. They also had a bad rebounding game in store for Tatum. Well, he had 16. So their numbers were off in that game. Does Embiid play like that again in Game 6?
Short turnaround. I don't know. That's where the short turnaround might get him.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Right.
I doubted it last night. He proved us wrong, but
George got to 15 again. That's 14 to the last 16.
Yeah.
Grimes played out of his mind. They have talent, but you let him hang around and you bleep around and find out. Embiid was 25-1 to lead the game in assists.
That's impressive.
How about that? So a lot of people are pissed off and bothered. This was going on last night while they were on the air. Here's Humans about he regrets what he did yesterday.
But Matt, as I say it, plus 105 now on the Boston Celtics to win the Eastern Conference.
I don't even want that right now.
Yeah, it is not a pretty performance.
I'm going to rewind 24 hours and take back what he said about the Celtics could beat a team from the West. I want to take that back, Tim. Can we take back the bets on the Celtics win the East?
I'm going to call up a Chuck Esposito. I would like a refund on that bet that I made today. Thank you.
Can you void that bet, please?
I would like to replace that bet on a better number.
What the hell? Now, this is who the Celtics are. You know, we've talked about this over and over. I'm not going to say it again, but when they're knocking down threes, they can look unbeatable. When they're not knocking down threes, any team can beat them.
That's yes. They can't beat the Wizards when they play like that.
Right.
But they can beat OKC and beat them in the regular season at home, and they look fantastic when they're going down. But it's just the same thing over. So frustrating. It's like, God, what are you doing? Take the win in 5, get the win in 4, get the broom out, take 4 days off, and get ready for the Knicks or whoever you play.
So I like the fact that you brought this up now this is something that we never even talked about before the show started. You brought up the idea. David Thorpe said maybe examine trading one of these guys a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I actually have it for a little bit late. You want me to save it for later on in the show? I thought of a trade proposal last night as they were getting spanked in the fourth quarter. Like maybe they should actually pick up the phone. You want it now or later on?
I want it later on.
Yeah, okay. I'll save it for later on.
But it's certainly, if they can't get to the finals and how bad with the East opening up and how bad it is, and a bad 1 seed and a Cavs team that has issues, and no Halliburton.
I still got to say it though. If we get New York and Boston round 2, which we should get, that's a tough series, man.
Oh, it will be. That'd be phenomenal television.
But
it just goes back
every second. Yeah,
we're sitting here 9 years in, and these guys are so good, and they have 1 ring. That's unacceptable. And how we treat those 2 guys.
Yeah, that's very true.
And also with the record that they had without Tatum.
Up next, we'll move into the action on the betting board for tonight. 6 more playoff games. We'll tell you which player averaged 6 assists per game over the course of 10 games in this situation tonight, and yet his prop is only 4.5.
Let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that almost feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit's due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. There's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on the annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, back to the show.
I'm really excited to try Prolon. It gives you the benefits of fasting without actually having to fully fast, which feels way more sustainable. It's designed to support metabolism, energy, and a full body reset at the cellular level. Right now, FieldSwell listeners can get 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just go to prolonlife.com/FieldSwell to claim your discount and bonus gift. That's Prolon, PROLONLIFE.com/FieldSwell.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So now tonight's playoff action, 3 NBA, 3 NHL. Paulie, the team that you're falling in love with right in front of our own eyes, it's Orlando. They're now catching 10.5 on the road here. Game 5, they can close out the 1-seeded Pistons. Total is 211.5. Under the total, 7-1 last 8 between these two when they play in Detroit. And here's a player I was talking about. Great write-up today. Zach Cohen, as always, on VSiN.com. Jalen Suggs has recorded 4 or fewer assists in all 4 games this series, but averaged 6 in 10 games without Franz Wagner. That's this year, including a 10-assist game versus Detroit. 4.5 is the total for him tonight if Wagner is ruled out.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah, he's not playing tonight.
So Dr. Chow thinks he's out the whole series with the calf?
Yeah, he was tweeting about this, I believe it was yesterday afternoon. Based on video evidence that he was saying unlikely, I believe is the word that he used, for Wagner to come back and play in this round anyway.
So minus 250 adjusted series price. 6 times it's happened at the 1 seeds down 3-1. So you're telling me they're going to be laying this number again in Game 7 if it happens?
I guess.
But they didn't have him in the fourth quarter, and Banchero was 4 of 18, and they still beat him.
Yeah.
So I
True.
don't see Duren breaking out of this with the Angel Reese battle. Duren is inside his own head. Look how much confidence plays a role with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bridges, no confidence, can't make a shot. White, no confidence, can't make a shot. Duren, in his own head. So if someone's going to help out Cade, I'd like to see it. But until it happens, I can't get there. Edlow had a great case for the team total under. I would think the game goes under again. And I think to be laying 10.5 is absurd here. They might win this game, but Orlando's the better team. Orlando's been talking trash. I've said it many times. It's not your typical 1-8. Orlando had a higher power rating and a higher win total in September before the season started and higher expectations. It's a great story. I know they won 60 games. Didn't improve the team at the deadline. There's water in the blood, or blood in the water, rather, and Orlando knows it. So I think it's going to be close, and I think 10.5 is outrageous. And the fact that they know they don't have him, and the fact that he didn't play in the fourth quarter and they still punked him and only scored in the high 80s in that game too, Detroit.
Well, which bet would you actually like more? My guess is you like the points a little bit more, but that team total looks pretty enticing as well.
Yeah, yes.
As I just said, 7 of the last 8 between these two in Detroit have gone under overall, and now the Pistons suddenly have to score 111 points to go over their team total?
Yes. And the larger picture is, the bigger picture, they've played well in one quarter. This is Game 5 tonight. They played well in one quarter. Game 2, third quarter, after Bickerstaff laid into him at halftime. Game was tied.
Yep.
That's it.
You know, sometimes it's a really bad matchup despite the team being favored. I'll give you an example. This was during the pandemic when the Bucks drew the Miami Heat, and it did not go well for Milwaukee at all during the regular season. And we're doing mornings. We're still on the air in the pandemic. If they get Miami, I'm betting them every which way. And I bet Miami to win the series. I bet them in a sweep, 5 games, 6 games, whatever. They eventually beat them in 5 games. They were up 3-0 in the series. And it was just a horrible matchup for Milwaukee and did not go well. And I thought it was very easy to see. And like, this is for you, right? You're watching these games every single night like everybody else, but it's like, what are the Pistons doing here so far that makes you think that they should be laying 10.5 points in this game?
Yeah.
The Wagner injury, worth probably about 3 points based on stuff that I was reading. So maybe, if he does come back and if there's a Game 7, maybe it would not be this high.
But that's interesting what Chow said. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Very good.
Raptors, Cavaliers, home teams have won and covered the last 5 meetings between these two.
This is too high, too.
You think so? 10 now?
10? Brian Windhorst had a good line. At one point, Ingram's going to knock down shots. That might be next year. But at some point, Ingram's going to knock something down. And now Toronto has mucked it up. And I know ER said he's going to go around the world tonight with Cleveland. But, I got to call out someone else again. Mobley, you going to show up? You going to do something? I mean, again, they should.
Guy I have no faith in.
Yeah, they should thoroughly outplay and dominate them down low.
I would agree.
And I know going small ball has helped, and the changes that Darko has made. But Allen and Mobley have to dominate against a team that was 24th in rebounding, and again, a team that played 500 ball from December on. It shouldn't be 2-2 in that horrific performance in the last game when nobody could make a shot. We'll see. They got to prove it to me, though. They didn't cover Game 2, but they'll probably win. But to win by 11 or at least 11, I think that's too aggressive here.
There is an angle that applies to 2 games tonight in the playoffs for the NBA. This one and also the Rockets-Lakers. Mackinnon has his VSiN.com. NBA teams playing at home in the 2 days rest scenario, 31-9 over the total, versus teams in the 3rd and 8+ days since the start of last year. That's exactly what's going on tonight with the Cavaliers at home and the Lakers now laying 4 without Kevin Durant for the Rockets, and Austin Reeves is expected to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually that's, again, 208.5. If Reeves is going to play as expected now, that probably cuts into minutes for like Marcus Smart.
How much do you play him?
Well, I mean,
he's been out for a long time.
I know. But so he'll give you the boost offensively, but he's bad defensively. And if he cuts into Smart's minutes, you're taking out their best defender. So does that mean we're going to get more points than usual between these two teams?
I think 4.5 is too high. I think we're getting a little aggressive here. Now, Houston talked trash after the last win, which I cannot believe. And they asked Marcus Smart about it after. He said it was hilarious. You're a $9 favorite. You're down 0-3. You win a game, and you're talking trash. And then Jabari Smith said, we're the better team after the game.
Yeah.
Who talks like this when you're down 0-3? So I don't think we'll see Durant the rest of the series. But if you're the Lakers, you got to win and close them out right here. Because you're in their heads. They've been so bad offensively. Also, to tie in like a pep talk and motivate. That's what Sengun did before Game 4. That he let into his teammates, and the guys said it was a great speech to wake them up as well. But also the Lakers were terrible, and LeBron owned it too. Just turning the ball over, careless, and he said it started with me, what happened in Game 4. So close them out tonight, get ready for OKC. But if you do, now this is surprising. It's happened 161 times in history, down 0-3. Only 15 times has a team forced a Game 6. I was surprised by that.
Oh, okay.
But it's also a unique situation where a team was such a huge favorite, and they've made a mess here, and the Lakers have been much the best. But it's quite the conundrum for Redick about how much do you play Reeves, because how the team's playing, and Smart and Kennard are playing as well, even though you get a big shot offensively and a guy that can score.
Opta AI stats are very high on Austin Reeves in this game tonight. VSiN.com. Look at the numbers on the board. They're projecting 22 points, more than 5 assists and 4 rebounds. They have him, like their biggest edges today on the entire site for any player is basically Austin Reeves with 4 different props tonight in that game. You're going to love another guy. I'll get to that coming up a little bit later on that they're high on in this game tonight. But I would think the same thing applies for the Lakers in the NBA as it does for the Penguins / Flyers game in the NHL. You cannot, if you're Philadelphia, my good God Almighty, you cannot have, I've been screaming this now for like 3 days. You cannot let this team get to a Game 7. The nerves in this game, you want to play under first period again? 5-0 so far in the series.
Yeah. I like second period over $1.60. That's 5-0 to the over. I'm not so sure about the first period under. I like the second period over. But who allowed the first goal of the game the most this year in the NHL? Philly. But they're 12-2 going back the last 14 when they score first. I usually think first goal of the game is enormous. I was shocked what happened in Buffalo. Buffalo scores 4 minutes in. That's it. Swayman stands on his head. They lose in overtime. You need to score 2 goals to send them home. Couldn't do it. But it's imperative that Philly scores first here. Get the place going. It'll be bananas. And then get that confidence again as well. But as we've seen many times, the goaltending change can work and get life into a team. Crosby's been good, but Sheeloff's has been excellent in the last 2 wins as well. This to me, it's too tough to call.
Now, the hockey games tonight are absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
This Canadiens Lightning series, as we've talked about, bloodbath.
3 straight overtime games.
No doubt. And by the way, Montreal has covered the puck and a half, plus 1.5 in every game so far of the series.
You think it's got to be too high. Is that your thought?
I mean, 160 right now, the way that these two teams are playing out.
$1.70 higher than that, some spots.
Oh, yeah,
series price. I do think they missed a golden opportunity, though. They can still win the series, but you could have won in 4. You're up 2-0 at home to go up 3-1. You gave them life. You could have beat them.
I would agree with that. So how much, by the way, that hit pretty much at center ice, that kind of changed the game, I thought, maybe a little bit for Tampa Bay. It was a devastating hit. And that can like pump up a team even a little bit more, get the adrenaline going during a game. So that game is great. And I think the Golden Knights might be a bit high tonight as well.
Yep, I agree. I don't know what to expect from that game either. And talking to Stormy before the show, there will not be a goaltending change. That Tortorella's stubborn, and Hart's his guy, and he says he's going to figure it out, and that's on him. So I think they could be making a mistake here. But if he gives up a soft one or something early, I would make a change. Derby days away. VSiN Pro has everything you need to bet it right. Get the Derby betting guide. It's fantastic. Samich going to hit the super again like last year. Triple Crown Special, $14.99. Offer expires tomorrow. VSiN.com/subscribe. Oaks and Derby previews as well.
And Jeff Seeley on the program coming up next. The Cadillac Championship in Miami is the next stop on the PGA Tour. Bets with analysis here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
The next stop on the PGA Tour is the Cadillac Championship in Miami, and Jeff Seeley joins the program now. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on X at Cupmaker Jeff, and the Cupmaker podcast is going to be recorded a little bit later on tonight as well. You've actually played this course a couple of times. What can you tell us about it?
I have. I've played it 2 years in a row, and it is long and it's difficult. But the good news is everything's right in front of you. It's pretty straightforward. So there's not a lot of what I would say kind of quirky nuances and things that you might wonder about. It's right in front of you, but there's a lot of water and it's really long. And the other thing I would say is the rough is pretty kind of patchy. So you can either be in a perfect lie in the rough, or you can be in 2.5, 3 inches of grass and like a clump of grass in the rough. So those are the two big things I remember, is just being water, tons of water especially on the par threes, and the rough being sort of hit and miss.
Okay. Is it fun?
It was okay, but I mean, it was funny. It was $700 a round.
Oh,
and they said that they keep jacking up the price every year, expecting to get less play, and it hasn't slowed down play at all. So I mean,
wow, okay.
700, and I was in an outing of 50 guys who played both years, so you can imagine what the ticket on that was. And I remember getting a few cocktails before we teed off, and for like 2 cocktails it was like $60. It was insane. So it's not a cheap place to play golf by any means.
Okay, so Scotty's playing this week. Does that mean that you're going to attack the board in the winner without market only?
Yeah, for my outrights I am. I'm doing that again, and honestly on the lower guys it's ends up being about 2 points. I'm willing to give that up, and on the higher guys, it's a little more. But I mean, I still think he's models out by far and away better than anyone else. So yeah, in my mind, I think it's worth giving up a few points for that.
Okay, but you do want to attack it with a couple of guys right beneath him. Let's start with Cameron Young. Why does he jump off the page to you this week?
I mean, guys, he's going to be a super popular play, but he models really well. Really, he ranks number 1 tee to green over the last 24 rounds, drives the ball extremely well. I mentioned we're at 7,700 yards. It's going to be a super long course. So I really just think it's going to rely on a lot of good ball striking, and Cameron Young striking the ball as well as anyone. So there's a lot to like here. Game just sets up really well for the course. I'm playing him top 10 at plus 110 and ties pay full, and then I'm going to have some in the winner without at 10 or 11 to 1 or so. And then another guy, Colin Morikawa, he's like 15, 16 to 1 in the winner without. And it's been interesting. Remember when he withdrew from the Players with that weird back injury, and I have not played him since then. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you've seen him like laboring in some of these tournaments, but his performance has just been insane. I mean, his driver is just good enough, but he's second in tee to green, third in birdies, and second on approach. So it's like I can't invest a ton in him, but I've got to have something because he's just continue to put up numbers. I mean, he won at Pebble, T7 at Genesis, 5th at the API, 7th at the Masters, 4th last week. So, like, why can't he finish top 10 this week at plus 150 in ties in a no-cut event? Yeah, I'm for sure going to play him top 10 for Morikawa, and a little on the outright too, because if again, another scenario where we could see him in the conversation on Sunday, and I want to make sure I've got a piece of it. I don't bet him very often, but I don't want to miss him when he's in contention.
All right, I'm wishing you luck here, mid-tier. This guy drives me crazy because he can't putt. But if Adam Scott is knocking down putts, one of your biggest bets here, though, is what he can do top 20 at plus 115. Give us the number and state the case for Adam Scott, please.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Scott's 33 to 1, the winner without market, won here 10 years ago. And there are a lot of reasons to like him here. Again, strong course history. I mentioned in 2016 he won. But he's shown throughout his career that he tends to play well on certain courses where he has comfort and experience. And that obviously checks the box here. In his last 7 events, he's finished inside the top 25 4 times, including a 5th at Genesis, another course where he has great course history. So, stat-wise, he actually fits the course profile extremely well. He's number 1 overall in my model, 3rd in driving distance, 4th tee to green, 5th on approach. So again, comfortable course, grades out well stats-wise, ton to like about Adam Scott. So I'm playing him big, top 20 at plus 115, and then I'll have a little bit on the outright, the 33 to 1.
Okay, next guy that you consider mid-tier, a guy who last year was so good in the first round, but you want to attack him full tournament here is Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, and he's another guy I expected to pop high in my model, guys. I was a little surprised. But since the end of February, been very solid. 2 finishes inside the top 15. His ball striking's been fantastic. I don't really worry about putting a ton here. And if we get a guy who's striking the ball as well as Mitchell is, I think there's some value. He's gained in ball striking in 5 of his last 6 and 11 of his last 13. Exactly what we're looking for here. Driving the ball really well. Tee to greens very much in a good place. So I did play him a top 150 or so, top 20 with ties. I really like him a lot. I'm going to sprinkle a little on the outright with winner without at 49-1. But I think the top 20 is a good way to play him. And then, guys, Gary Woodland, hey, he said he's been playing the best golf of his career. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot to support that. Brings a really appealing profile in this week. Been driving excellent. Ball striking overall looks really strong. And his recent results support that. So over the last month or so, he's posted a win, a top 14, a top 10, and then 35th in the Masters. So again, he said himself he's playing the best golf of his career. Really confident in that. Power looks good. Form looks good. So I'm going to play Woodland top 20 plus 150. And again, another guy I'll have a little on the winner without market at around 50-1.
All right, you got one bomb. Tell us who he is, about 65-1.
Yeah, guys, Jordan Smith, 66-1, the winner without market, is one of the more interesting options on the board. Ranks inside the top 20 in driving distance, tee to green, and approach. Gives him a very, very balanced stat profile this week. And the markets actually haven't missed this. He is actually lower priced than guys like Berger, Connors, Noren, and even my guy Yella, who's been white hot. So the market understands this if the common golf fan doesn't as much. And so I think he's a tremendous play this week, actually, especially top 20. You can find him at plus 175 or so top 20. I think keep your eyes on Jordan Smith. I think he's going to be an interesting guy this week that will fly under the radar of a lot of common golf fans.
All right, very good. Excellent breakdown. Best of luck with the bets this week. And again, the Cutmaker podcast is coming out getting recorded a little bit later on tonight. Yep. And you can follow Jeff on X at Cutmaker. Jeff, thanks, pal.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
Yes.
Join us on the Progressive Guest Line.
All right. Good luck, my man. One other things I was going to say. Go ahead.
No.
But how special teams can play a pivotal role here. You see Buffalo was 1 for 42 on a power play this month.
That ties into what Boston said, right, earlier in the series.
That's right.
Just want to rough them up. Who cares if we go to the box? We have no confidence that they're going to score on us.
Yep. So Philly, 7-1 off a loss since the break, 23-8-6 during the regular season. Dead last for power play. And a 21st penalty kill. Pittsburgh, top 6. Pittsburgh, top 7 power play. Pittsburgh, third most goals per game. And Crosby's been good the last couple of games as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a toss-up tonight, too.
Well, remember,
but it's certainly squeaky bum time for Buffalo, and it's squeaky bum time for Philly now, too, after what you've done and made a mess. But I'm not so sure about the first period under, which is 5-0. I'm more confident second period over, but it could be decided on a fluke, deflection, special teams. But if it is special teams, that's where Pittsburgh has a huge edge.
Sure. Now, if they stay out of the box and it's 5-on-5 for a majority of that first period, I just think that you always use the terms like nervy, cagey. This is going to turn into, like, I'm hoping for, because I did bet the under in this game for the first period under 1.5 minus 110.
Uh-huh.
I want to combine shots on goal of like 8 or 10 where like there's nothing happening. It's just all defense. Nothing's available whatsoever. And it's scrappy. And, maybe the game plays out to where it goes to overtime, like tied at 1-1. It's like nip and tuck the entire way. This has been the exact opposite of what Pittsburgh was like the last 20 games of the regular season.
Yeah.
But if Philadelphia loses this one tonight, oh, mamma mia. And I guess, as you said, you can throw that out there as well with Buffalo in Game 6 if they don't win that one. Now, they would actually have Game 7 at home, obviously, but dicey.
What do I get out of Vegas? Do I get the team that was up 3-0 or the team that fell behind 4-3 and gave up 4 quick ones?
Well, I felt like
this is an even series, too.
To me, they scored the 3 before you could blink, and they gave up the 4 before you could blink.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how true any of that was. But that game went flying over. Now the total 6 in this game tonight. Does it play out again like that?
John Davis likes it under. Likes under 6. But I think $1.70 now at DraftKings is too high as well.
Yeah, I mean, tonight, a couple of dogs I think to look at would be Utah, and the other one would be Montreal.
But it is frustrating, though, right? I mean, it takes Edmonton to play like that until their backs are against the wall? Where's that been all series?
I know.
Some of this doesn't make sense.
Win-lose up next, and we have an update to the Brendan Sorsby situation. It doesn't feel like he's going to be playing again. We'll tell you the details that came out today on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
I'm really excited to try Prolon. It gives you the benefits of fasting without actually having to fully fast, which feels way more sustainable. It's designed to support metabolism, energy, and a full body reset at the cellular level. Right now, FieldSwell listeners can get 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just go to prolonlife.com/FieldSwell to claim your discount and bonus gift. That's Prolon, PROLONLIFE.com/FieldSwell.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Sixers money line again, plus 375. And 11.5 down to 9.5. Shame on you, Boston. Embiid 25-1, most assists. Spurs Blazers, most assists, Fox plus 450. Most threes, Champagny 10-1. As the Spurs win their first series since 2017. NHL Wild plus 110. Bruins plus 110. Regulation tie 3-1. Oilers Ducks first period over. 5-0 in the series. Gets there again. Marlins first 5 in game plus 240. What's going on with the Dodgers offense? 2-1 Marlins in the 6th.
Right now, yeah.
And Sandy has horrific numbers career against LA. They can't hit anything right now. Going back the last 2 weeks. 10 days.
Is Ohtani putting too much into the pitching?
I don't know what that is. That's been all year. I don't know. That's funky.
I saw David Sampson, who had a great breakdown today. He's been on the show many times.
He's excellent.
He's like, Ohtani is going to add a piece of hardware to the old mantle. He's like, he wants to win the Cy Young. The Dodgers are going to let him go for it.
Oh, okay.
Because like the MVP, the back-to-back, different leagues, winning everything that he has. The one thing that he hasn't taken home so far is the Cy Young, and that's why they're gonna let it play out like this. And as of now, he's like he should be the short shot on the board the way it's going.
Yeah. Champions League, 5 minutes left. Atletico Madrid, Arsenal 1-1. Yesterday, madness while we're on the air. PSG Bayern Munich, 5-4 final. All total over 6.5 was plus 950. Also, Jeff Sherman at the Westgate makes San Antonio a 250 favorite over the Denver Nuggets.
What do you want to do with that?
You think some places could go higher. But let's see what they look like against Minnesota to close it out. Let's see with the health as well. Because it doesn't sound good for Gordon or Watson. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in for you, Mitch. How about an American Bully compilation? Look at these guys, huh? Just want to give them a hug. I got to get 2 of these guys. Look at them. Look at that mug.
Look like a person.
Yeah, right. The face, sleeping, hanging out. I want the one where they go to the shelter. Here it is, where they adopt the guy at the shelter. Look at that face. Look at his tail, where the kid comes in, pats him on the head, putting it up. Look at these guys. Look at this. Yeah, he's a tank. That guy's a tank, right? I mean, I could watch this all day. But how
you got to get one, Paul.
Oh man, look at the faces. And how they're built as well. The best one's the guy at the shelter when the kid adopts him, and the tail. You just bring a bunch of them home. That's excellent. I'll put that up later with the Bully compilation. Excellent. One lose some Blazers, Spurs over 216.5 to 220.5. Sports calendar never stops. Sharp Plays covers it all. They've been winning for 15 straight years. I love the Mr. Poison tweets every day. And when they move, the books take notice. Trusted insider intel. They find the value before the numbers shift. Pulling in selections and intel from over 500 pro bettors and sources worldwide across all sports. They push the info to subscribers in real time. Respected, watched, and feared. Start winning with them. Sharpplays.com.
So we talked about the Brendan Sorsby situation yesterday at Texas Tech. I thought Brad Powers was awesome on it. If you missed that, you can always go back. We sent out a tweet at VSiN Live and also wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the Money. He was in the first hour of the show. And more details came out on this today. On3 has been all over it. And we also kicked around the question, like when a player shows up on campus and he signs the deal, like at what point do they start getting paid? Is it as soon as they hit campus, as soon as they sign the contract? Does football actually have to be here? Are they playing? So according to the story, he has been receiving monthly payments from Texas Tech since arriving in Lubbock. He has 3 main contracts. One is a revenue sharing agreement with the institution, an Adidas deal, and an outside contract with a multimedia rights company. So with his next payment not due for a couple of weeks, no decisions have been made about future payments. So that's out there now. The NCAA rules state that if a player bets on their own sport at another school, the player could lose 50% of 1 season of eligibility. The player must also receive education on sports wagering rules of prevention in that case, and that's why I think he came out and got ahead of this yesterday. He played in only 1 game in 2022 when he was wagering on those games while with Indiana. The guidelines further state that wagers greater than $800 could lead to the loss of 30% of a season for eligibility. So they also did some more digging in. I guess like getting this information from books is easy. I don't know. But sources interviewed the betting data. Sources reviewed the betting data. I'd like to know how they get their hands on that. Dating back to 2022, he placed more than 10,000 wagers and at one point averaged about 20 bets per day across multiple states using a bunch of different legal national sports books.
Brad Powers said they'll make an example out of him. He's done. You got good news on Hammond, though, the backup.
Right.
Still thinks they're double-digit favorites in every game with Hammond, but would not be a factor to make a deep playoff run, though.
Right. And he said the biggest difference would be the ceiling of this team and how much damage they could do in the playoffs, with one guy compared to the other. And he still said, the Big 12 absolutely should be theirs because it's so weak this year. Does that sound like enough to you where the NCAA is just going to say, yeah, that's going to wash your hands of this kid, no more? I think betting on the Indiana games while he was there is going to be the nail in the coffin.
40 was saying, different school 4 years ago. He's getting help. I could see that, but Powers probably nails it. What they're going to make an example out of him.
Like, do we think it's the biggest deal of all time? Certainly not. But we're trying to put ourselves in the shoes of how the NCAA operates. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they give the kid a break and maybe it's a multiple game suspension, but he's able to play, that changes things then with how you want to maybe bet this team going forward.
Yeah.
Also, there's this note today. How about the breaking news that Deshaun Watson's number 1 quarterback in Cleveland?
Yeah, Rizzo said it. Yeah.
So it's like basically his gig to lose as of right now going into May.
How about they drafted a quarterback again? How about that?
Uh-huh.
I mean, he said that would happen too, even though it was the 6th round.
Well, do you want to get ahead of this? Deshaun Watson earlier today was 75-1 to win comeback player of the year.
No way.
Why do you say that? They drafted a couple of wide receivers. They have good guys coming back on offense.
You really think people want to give him an award?
I had the conversation with a friend of mine today.
What's he coming back from? I'll say he got hurt, but he also was terrible.
Well, he was injured. Like it was a pretty severe injury.
He also stunk while he was in there healthy. I'm wondering.
I think it's
what he has left in the tank.
Sure,
as he's been so bad. He's not even close to the guy we saw in Houston.
So
Go ahead.
The person who pointed this out to me today, I asked the same question. Like, how do you think voters would look at Watson for comeback player of the year? His comeback was, it's been so long that I don't even think they care at this point. And I kind of agree with that. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Well,
I mean, I don't even know, like, how many years ago was that with Watson? Has it been 6 already? Like, time flies. I mean, it feels like it's been like 2 because the guy hasn't played, but it's been way longer than that, I think.
You're still the worst team in that division. And you get better quarterback play. But, the win total sitting there with 6.5, whatever, I believe. I can't see them making the playoffs or him having a good year.
No. Also, we just kind of
enough here.
We went through this just last week with voters and not being able to trust him with the Rookie of the Year in the NBA and how they changed their mind. So, I mean, the thing is, it's 75-1. He wasn't it wasn't baked in, and he wasn't 10-1. So 75-1 was out there, and maybe I don't know, maybe there's even higher than that. I didn't look around very much, but 75-1 was pretty much the first book that I looked at. I'm like, okay, that's intriguing.
16-1 to win the division. Not The other story is what the Steelers did with Rodgers, where they're guarding against like a Rivers situation, or Rodgers playing I'll play for somebody if someone tears an ACL, or I'll come in. And what they did was that surprised a lot of people, and maybe it could have the reverse effect that you're putting Rodgers on the clock, and maybe he doesn't like that. Who knows? Also, the Jets looking at Russell Wilson backup.
Yeah, they're going to talk to him, bring him in.
How about that?
Yeah.
He's a disaster with the Giants. He'll back up Geno Smith.
I'll say this.
Man.
I would much rather have Aaron Rodgers back for one more year than Russell Wilson on any team in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, Rodgers has a little bit left in the tank. Wilson he appears to be completely shot at this point. And that tells you all you need to know, that he would have to latch on with the Jets to back up Geno Smith and flip it to when those two players are both in Seattle. Geno had to back him up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just the whole Rodgers thing is...
They get a pick if he signs elsewhere before July 22nd.
I guess it must be worth it to Pittsburgh, right? Based on the other quarterbacks in the room.
Well, what happened to give us a decision by the draft? I know
you
who
knew that was never
going
to happen. Yeah. Playoff games coming up next. Welcome back, Austin Reeves. The projections at vsin.com are strong on him tonight. I'll tell you if they like him to go over or under, and another player that they really like coming up